You are watching Tech Confessions, created by Amy Lewis and brought to you by VMware.
So, thanks for coming in, Matt.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Amy. Yeah.
So, what would you say your software-defined moment was?
Well, it's a few years back now where I was looking into hardware, particularly storage arrays, and as I really, looked deeper into it, I noticed a disturbing fact about them. The most interesting things were in the software, not actually the hardware. The hardware is an enabler of amazing things, and without amazing hardware, we really wouldn't be where we are with technology today. But the true excitement for me and the innovation is in understanding the software that we can rely upon on top of it, and building layers and layers of reliable software.
So, what are you working on? What do you roll your sleeves up? Are you a hands-on person now since that revelation?
I've been doing a good bit of talking to people about how they share their software. And I don't particularly care what you're doing with it. I still think IT operations is where the industry can grow quite a lot still. We can benefit from standardization and shared social practices on how to best provision different pieces of the infrastructure, but also to monitor it. And that's been my passion of late. Like, how do you know your systems are alive or offline? How do you know that they're working within their optimal range? And it has a lot to do with observability through monitoring and alerting. So curating that software that we use in order to monitor other software and also the hardware that it runs upon through social coding on GitHub in particular, that's my happy place these days.
So you've always enjoyed community, but how is this community different?
I think this community is coming from a place of true day-to-day need to not be woken up in the middle of the night by an unnecessary alert, need to be a single person that is responsible for infrastructures that are far larger than an individual necessarily should be responsible for. It's like truly the department of doing more with less is often the one that is responsible for monitoring and alerting. And I love that because there's nothing like need to force really creative and genius solutions to complicated problems. So there's a lot of creativity, a lot of let's get something out there and iterate publicly and working collaboratively. So the community itself is it has the need and it has the follow through.
Why do you think people, traditional marketers, if I dare say, are afraid to engage with this developer community?
I think it's a different language, right? When you are dealing with tribes, which I truly believe the fundamental basis of technology is this tribal collection of people. Tribes speak their own languages, and you're only gonna influence people when you take the time to learn their language. So the amazing marketers I've worked with, they take the time to delve in and become one with a community before they expect to influence it. And those that are less effective, they keep their distance and they stick to the playbook. And it doesn't quite penetrate that circle of trust that you have to have in order to be an effective communicator to a developer or the modern SRE operations engineer teams.
So if you look way back in your past,
how far back, Doctor? Amy, I keep getting confused.
In your college days, in your early kind of true programming training, how would you have predicted where we are now? How shocked are you when you think back to those early lessons and where you are now?
I didn't know this existed then. I think the greatest part of studying computer science was just understanding of abstractions in their purest of form and how they relate to how systems work. But to see that honestly, our entire economy runs on top of software these days, and the most effective enterprises are not seeing themselves as banks or as insurance companies or airlines, but as software companies that happen to provide services of banks and of airlines and of these other things. Like the fact that software is eating the world and running the world, and that we all can touch it because so much of it is based in open source. It provides me like a new foundation to respect the precision of computer science as a practice, but also it gives you a freedom to not need to know all the fundamentals. You can just get in there and start helping today, because there's always room for everyone's expertise to help each other.
Well, thank you so much for coming in, Matt.
Thank you. This was very cathartic.
Excellent.
Yeah.
If you're ready to share your tech confession, join us on TechConfessionstheshow.com.